Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Off the Shelf. Today we are talking cover art. So we've all heard, don't judge a book by its cover. I think that's terrible advice. Go ahead, judge all the books by their covers if that's what you want to do. And you know what? Publishers expect us to do that. They plan for us to do that because they design the covers to not only draw us in, but to give us information about what's in the book. So let's look at some that are new. I use that term kind of loosely. And eye-catching, at least eye-catching to me. So if you don't like some of these, sorry. This is what I thought was cool looking. I'm going to start out with one that I think really proves my point. This book gives you all the information you need right there on the cover. It's blue and red. You've got the London Eye and London Bridge, Big Ben. You've got these two guys. One of them is all like smartly dressed. The other guy is kind of, I think he's supposed to look rock and roll, right? He's cool. And it's all cartoony. The cartoony thing is really big in romance covers right now. And the two guys tell us that it's a male-male romance. And everything else tells us it's set in London. There you go. Right there from the cover. I haven't even read the description yet. Actually, I have read the description because I needed to know what the book was about to be able to show it to you. But basically, it is a fake relationship romance where this guy has gotten himself into a bit of a scandal and thinks the way out of it is to find himself a perfect, polished boyfriend. So he goes to London, meets this guy, and they start a fake relationship. But if I have learned anything from fake relationship romances, it's that you do not start a fake relationship with someone that you don't plan to develop real feelings for, because you will. You will start to care about that person, and not in a fake way. Then, I have got Nick by Michael Ferris Smith. And if you're a Great Gatsby fan, this is going to look familiar to you. That's the entire point. They're after the people who are Great Gatsby fans because it is referencing the Great Gatsby cover, or at least the most well-known version of it, with the eyes and the blue and then this like sort of orangey red and yellow thing happening down here. I think that's really cool. First of all, I really like that it's referencing the other book. And then I really like the font that they've chosen here because I think that it very appropriately conveys the time period. So this is about Nick Carraway before he meets Gatsby. He's a soldier in World War I. There's, he's living his life. He's dealing with what comes his way. But that's heading into the Roaring 20s, and you've got like Art Deco and all that stuff starting to happen, and this font kind of references that. Then I have this charming book. I love this one. This is Fangs by Sarah Anderson, and I love that you've got the frame here, which seems sort of antique, right? It looks kind of like a picture frame, an antique picture frame. And then you've got this illustration of this woman who is a vampire with her sort of bat wing stuff going on there. But she looks a little more cartoony. And I think that really does a good job of conveying what's going on inside the book. This is a graphic novel about a romance between a vampire and a werewolf. And it, like I said, it's charming. The cover's charming. The book itself is charming. They did the edges of the pages in black, which is one of my favorite things ever. I love it when they do this with books. So, love it, love it. This one, I love the cover. I don't understand the description. But the black and white line art, like, look at that. Look at the bee. The bee is so cool looking. I don't know. I love this. I love this. I love that it's got this sort of pale blue. It's almost a Tiffany blue background there with it. But like I said, I don't understand the description, so I don't understand how all of this relates to the book itself. The description says that there are dozens of Cain and Margarets in this internment camp where it's set, and they're like setting up little quiet protests and acts of rebellion every day. Cool. I don't know if that's, magical realism at work, if they're just imagining themselves doing all these different things, imagining themselves as slightly different versions of themselves. Maybe there's this, is it the butterfly effect going on? I don't know. I'm not sure. But someone read this book and let me know, because I think the cover is just outstanding. I love it, and it's sort of hypnotizing. It's great. Then we have Queen of the Conquered by Cassandra Calendar. And looking at this one, you see there's this black woman with this bonnet, right? So right away, historical, set during, I don't know, maybe the 19th century. At least in the U.S., a lot of enslaved women in the 19th century wore similar head coverings. So that's what that evokes for me from seeing images of enslaved women. And then the fact that it's Queen of the Conquered also makes me think this woman is enslaved. She's been conquered, and they're using an old-timey looking font. But then you've also got this snake and the flowers, which makes me think that there's something sort of sinister underneath a beautiful facade, perhaps. I'm not sure. I haven't read it yet, but I think this cover alone, first of all, jumped out at me, and it made me want to know what the story was about. And so it's doing its job, straight up. The main character is the only survivor of a family that was from a noble lineage, but they were murdered by the island's colonizers, and those colonizers have massacred and enslaved generations of this woman's people. And then the childless king says he's going to pick an heir from all of the noble families. So she goes to enact revenge and I think try to take control of everything. But there's magic too. Haha, there's also magic. I love magic. So this cover is everything. It's, great. I can't tell you how many times I'm going to say something's amazing, something's great. I can't help it. This one's nonfiction. Its Floriography is an illustrated guide to the Victorian language of flowers by Jessica Rue. And if you were ever interested in what flowers may say and how you can create floral arrangements that send a secret message, then this book is for you. I think the cover is beautiful. The colors are really pretty on the black background. I like this banner. It looks very Victorian to me. Inside, all of the flowers have illustrations that, again, to me, they look very Victorian. I never studied art history, so take that as you will. But I think that they did a good job of making me think of Victorian flowers and wanted to know more about it. There's another book in the new collection on the Victorian language of flowers. It is also beautiful. I picked this one. I liked it better, but they're both beautiful. Great covers. Then I have Forest of Souls by Lori M. Lee. And honestly, this book is getting mixed reviews. I looked on Goodreads, and some people really like it, and some people were pretty meh about it. But look at this cover. Look at this cover. She looks, I don't know. I'm not sure. She's standing in shadow. It looks like she's got some weapons. Her eyes are glowing. She's gonna get you, right? And you're not even gonna see it coming. Unless you see her glowing eyes, maybe. all of that. And then the font here, this is very clearly a fantasy. And the main character has been training to be a spy. Her best friend gets murdered, and all her plans change. So I haven't read it yet. I can't tell you whether I think it's great or just kind of okay, but this cover is incredible. Next, look at this one. Book of Dragons. Look at the dragons. So you've got a big dragon, but that dragon is kind of made up of smaller dragons. And then you've got a couple of smaller dragons that are light colored. But I think it's so almost ethereal looking, and just so pretty. Again, I really like the font. I think the font is a good choice. It's not maybe the one that would initially come to mind when I think of dragons. I'd probably think of something with a little more flourish. But I like that this doesn't have that. I think that it almost feels like you're going to learn something about dragons from this book. I don't know. That's kind of what I'm getting from it. But it's beautiful. I mean, this is gorgeous. And then throughout the book, you do have the art, the illustrations are kind of sprinkled throughout. So like here you've got one across the bottom of the pages. On the page before, there's some more of these dragons. This is an anthology of stories about dragons by a bunch of really well-known fantasy authors. Every culture has stories about dragons. So if dragons are your jam, or if this cover is just speaking to you, then come and check out this book. And I have Forget This Ever Happened by Cassandra Rose Clark. Oh my gosh, guys. This book is amazing. Look at this cover. I love the hot pink. I love the lightning. I love that this looks like a neon sign. I love that she's sort of pixelated, like there's something wrong here, right? And it looks so 90s. Oh, it's so great. It's set in 1993. It's about a Texas town on the Gulf Coast that you only remember while you're there. When you leave, you forget it exists. And this girl is sent there to spend the summer with her grandmother and discovers a bunch of weird stuff, like talking lizards. And she has to figure out what's going on with this town, because obviously there's something going on, right? Like, that's all just too strange. But she has to do it before she forgets it ever happened. I love it. It's amazing. Then we have Steak by Kevin J. Anderson. And there is so much going on in this cover. I'm not even sure you realize at first glance everything that's going on in this cover. So first of all, you've got the font here, but it's it's not even straight across, which makes it look sort of unbalanced. And a little bit like those serial killer, letters where they cut out letters from magazines and like glue them all together. That's kind of what that looks like to me. Like the person who wrote this is not all there, right? They're a little unbalanced. But then you've got a bloody stake for the T. So vampire, obviously, this is a vampire story. There's a stake. It's called Steak. But then down here, this looks like a thriller, doesn't it? You've got this silhouette of a person in these scary dark woods with a floodlight on them. That looks like a thriller cover down there. So why are these together? That doesn't make sense at first. But then you look at the tagline, and the tagline seals the deal for me. It makes me want to read this book. And it is Vampire Hunter or Serial Killer. So this book is about a guy who thinks that he's doing the world a lot of good by dusting a bunch of vampires. But there is a detective who thinks that vampires do not exist, and this guy's just out killing a bunch of innocent people. But the reader doesn't know which guy is right. Are vampires real? Is he doing the world a great service? Or is he actually an unhinged serial killer? You gotta read the book to find out. But the cover is selling it. Then I've got a few nonfiction for you. First up, In the Dream House by Carmen Machado. This is a memoir about the author's time in an abusive same-sex relationship. And the format is really interesting. It's written using a bunch of different narrative tropes and in very short little chunks. So like some of them are one paragraph long, and then it moves on and it does another one. The cover to me is also really interesting because the entire thing is sort of in juxtaposition with the title. So the title, In the Dream House, you would think like we're going to see, Barbie's dream house kind of thing. But nothing about this says dream house. The way the title is even put in here looks sort of like a B horror movie. The way that they would have a title slash across the screen, that's what that looks like to me. This house looks derelict and kind of abandoned. And then you've got this creepy woman staring out at you. Nothing about this says dream house. So if memoirs are your thing, or if this cover just really intrigues you, check this out. Carol chose this as one of her staff picks. So if you are looking for some staff picks, go to Bee and Stack. There's a whole list of them there for you. But this is one of them, so check it out. Then we've got Creative Quest by Questlove. And this to me looks like a modern art sculpture, which usually is not my thing. But I'm intrigued by this cover. Like, you've got a glove here with a microphone. Over here, you've got drumsticks playing on these cans. And then you've got Questlove's face, but he almost looks like he's a record. I don't know. I'm not sure what's happening there, but it's really interesting. The book itself is basically a deep dive into creativity and the philosophy of creativity. And he takes all of these philosophies and lessons and stories on this topic and kind of synthesizes them into this book. And if you're interested in creativity in the abstract, I think that this is going to be a fascinating read. I think Questlove is a fascinating dude. So this one, definitely check out. This is one of the ones that's not exactly new, but close. Then, look at all the colors. I love colors so much. This is The Black Friend on Being a Better White Person by Frederick Joseph. And it is beautiful, amazing. I just want to be like, woo, check it out, right? I love it. I love it. I love it. And I think something that's really interesting here, and maybe, this is just me, but to me, the fact that they took all of these colors that they're using and included those colors in his portrait as well, really represents the fact that, people themselves are multidimensional, they're multicolored, they're not, all black and white sort of thing. And I think that represents this. That's what I'm getting out of this cover. The book itself, the author is speaking directly to the reader. He's sharing anecdotes on race from his own past. He's bringing in the voices of other artists and activists to talk about all kinds of things: cultural appropriation, reverse racism, power dynamics, microaggressions, all of that in this very thin book. If you're still looking for a book from a diverse author, or if you are just looking to expand your knowledge on issues of race, I would absolutely recommend this one. It's getting a lot of positive feedback so far online. And like I said, the colors on this cover are just, I love it. I love it. I got two more for you. Two more. First up, Chesapeake Requiem. A year with the Watermen of Vanishing Tangier Island. I'm getting really good at reading things backwards on the screen while I say it out loud to you guys. I just wanted to let you know I'm very proud of myself. Anyway, the cover of this is really interesting. I like you've got the fisherman on his boat with his catch back here, all the crabs in their traps. And then you've got this little half dust jacket, which kind of curves down so you see a little bit of the water there. And then it's got the blue crab. So obviously that's telling you that the blue crab plays a part in this. The fishermen obviously play a part in this. And then what I really like about this one, which is not always the case when you do these little half dust jacket situations, but this one, the picture underneath, which you can't really see because it's taped down, but the picture underneath is not the same as the one on the dust jacket. It does still have the subtitle, but it's just the ocean. And I think that that's really interesting. I think that having that much water is actually really relevant to what the book is about. The book is about the rapidly shrinking Tangier Island. They're losing about 15 feet of shoreline a year. And since 1850, they've lost 2/3 of the land of this island. So it is very rapidly shrinking. It has a small community that have lived there for generations, fishing and catching the blue crabs. And their culture and their way of life is dying out because this island is eroding away into the ocean. So that's a fascinating thing that I very much want to read about. This is going on my to-read list for sure. But I think the cover is really subtly telling you all of that information. And then one more for you. A History of Magic, Witchcraft, and the Occult. And this is edited by Susanna Lipscomb, who is a British historian. And this book, I mean, it's metallic, and I mean it's a large book too. It's like a coffee table size book. But I love the metallic print on this black background, and this looks like it looks very occult. I have no idea what this actually is, but the symbols, it all looks very occult. And then inside the book is it's broken up into time periods, and then in each time period, magic is explored around the world. So you're not just getting the Western magical tradition here. You're getting magic as it existed in everyday life, in religion, in early science. All of that is all detailed here with lots more pictures. There's lots of paintings included. So if magic and history are your jams, then this book is for you. But look at this cover. Love it. Okay, that's it. I'm done. So, as I said, these are some newer books that have caught my eye. Obviously, there's so many more that I could not include, and maybe you watched this. If you sat through this whole thing, good on you. But maybe you watched this and you're like, yeah, those books were okay, but they're not really doing it for me. Yeah, sorry. These are the things that caught my eye. Maybe they did not catch yours. I hope a few of them did. I hope that you are excited about something new to read. And I hope that you are joining us for our reading challenges. It's still January. There's still time to sign up for Books Like Us. And of course, we also have the year-long reading challenge going on this year that started the beginning of the year. So sign up for that as well. You can find both of them on Beanstack, which is linked through our website, eastonpl.org, or you can download the Beanstack app and sign up there. And then track your reading, earn badges, all that fun stuff. Also, You can always get more book recommendations by filling out a personalized recommendation request form on our website. Tell us a little bit about what you like, what you're looking for, and we will respond back with some new suggestions for you. Happy reading.